Let's talk about transitioning your baby from your own room to their own room. The time has come to fly the nest, not quite, but to get your baby out of your room. If you're watching this video, it's highly likely that you are ready for your own space, and I don't blame you. It can be really hard having your baby sleep in your own room with you. Some people absolutely love it and they choose to bed share or co-sleep with their babies well into their toddler years, and that is absolutely fine, and everybody has their own personal choice. But I can imagine that if you're watching this video, that is not you. So let's talk about when to transition your baby and how to do it to make the smoothest and most comfortable transition for a happy baby and a good night's sleep all round. The safer sleep advice is to keep your baby in your room with you until they are 6 months old. This is actually for a really good reason. It's because when your baby is under 6 months, they still need help with regulating their breathing and their heart rate at night time. And by lying next to you, their bodies are so amazing. By listening to your breathing and your heart rate, subconsciously they will match those up to make sure that they stay alive basically through the night. It's also of course really easy to hear your baby if they're in the room with you, and to hear any little snuffles or snorts or grunts or groans to signal that something may be wrong. Of course, that is also a reason why you may want your baby to not be sleeping in the room with you, because it can be quite annoying. It is tempting before they get to 6 months old to move them out of the room and put them in their own room, especially if you're a light sleeper. But my advice would be to just hold on as long as you possibly can, because it is much safer for your baby to be sleeping in the room with you. From my personal experience, we moved our first son into his own room just after he turned 5 months, so he was a little bit earlier. With my second son, we waited until he'd turned 6 months. So the why should you do it? Well, to get a better night's sleep, and you will get a better night's sleep if you move your baby into their own room after 6 months. That's because you tend to get to that phase, don't you, where you're both waking each other up. So you might wake your baby up by moving even ever so slightly. With my son, even if I just moved under the covers, I used to pick the duvet up and then move my body and put the duvet back down again, because I was so scared of the noise waking him up, and it always did. They can also wake you up, of course, with their snuffles and snorts and little noises that babies just naturally make. Doesn't mean that they need your attention and that they're waking up, but of course for us mums, especially some dads too, it can mean that it wakes us up and it's difficult for us to get back to sleep if we hear those little noises. So let's talk about what you can do to make that transition really smooth and as easy as possible. The first thing that I would recommend is to start spending time in your baby's room. So make sure that you have your baby's room ready, I would say at least a month before you move them into there, and spend time in that room changing them, playing with them, reading to them, feeding them, so that they associate the room with happy memories and they feel really safe and comfortable and secure in there. When the time comes, I would say around 2 weeks before you're planning on moving your baby from your room to their room, you can start putting them down for naps in their own room. This just means that they are more comfortable at sleeping in there. They get used to it, just sleeping for that short space of time, and because you are awake, you can kind of troubleshoot any problems that may arise and deal with them in a much better way than you would be able to at night time when you are tired as well. I have to say that we did do this with my first son. With my second son, we didn't do naps in his room. We just went straight to sleeping at night time. So you don't have to do this step. It's just an extra step to do if you want to. The next step is to make sure that you create a really familiar sleep environment in your baby's new room. So when you start sleeping them in there for their naps or for their full night's sleep, you want to make sure that you have the same white noise that you have in your bedroom, the same sheets if possible on the bed, the same pajamas, the same sleeping bag. So try and just recreate that sleep environment for them so that everything seems familiar and it's less scary for them when they go down to sleep. One of the things that we can worry about when our babies move into their own room is that they will most likely be in a cot, whereas before in our bedrooms they're often in a crib or bassinet where the sides are softer. But do not be tempted to put bumpers on your baby's cot, or even the ones that kind of wrap around the bars of your baby's cot, because they are super super, super dangerous, and it is just never ever worth the risk of strangulation that comes with those. Even the breathable ones are a no-go because babies can get tangled in them still really easily. Once you have started putting your baby into their own room for nighttime sleep, you can, if you want to, just do half a night. So what you may like to do if your baby is still waking up around that 1 a.m. mark is let them sleep in their own bed until that point, and then from that 1 a.m. feed bring them back into your own room and then put them back down in their bassinet to finish the night. This really is more for you than for your baby. It won't really make a big difference to your baby, but if it makes you feel more comfortable that you're still spending a little portion of the night together, or you're not quite ready to keep on getting up and going to their room several times a night, then this may be an option for you. My best advice would just be to bite the bullet and go for it. Move them into their own room. As I said, make sure that you have all those familiar sleep environments in place. Make sure that you spend lots of time in their room so that they know that it's a safe and happy place, and then just go for it. Get them in there, let them sleep in there the whole night through, and I guarantee you will get a much better night's sleep. You will, and your baby will. They probably won't start sleeping through the night straight away unless you're very lucky, but it is the first step on the way, and quite often once babies are moved into their own room they will drop a wake up, which is always a good thing even if it's not sleeping through the night. I hope that this was useful for you. If you would like to watch my last video all about tips to survive the sleep progressions, then click up onto this one here. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of video, then please do consider subscribing. I make parenting content on mum life, baby life and toddler life every week, and I would love for you to join us. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Bye bye.